Alright, here's a quick assembly overview of the Blade Mac 11 attachment setup. Uh, Base gun's just an airsoft polymer metal combination. The only modification you have to do to it is saw off the trigger guard because it's not a separate piece on this particular model. So I just used a jeweler's saw and took it off, and didn't even take 5 minutes. For assembly, first things first, you're going to take a barrel attachment. This threads right on to the end of the Mac 11 exactly like a suppressor would. It's got 8-sided octagonal barrel shape back here, so you're going to get it snug. And then once it's snug, you're going to keep turning it so it's tight, but then also one of these flat surfaces of the 8-sided section is parallel with the top of the gun. This is going to be the backbone of this prop, so it's very important that this is very sturdy because everything's hanging off of this. So once you've got that done, and you've got the main body of the gun with the bottom rail. You've got your battery in there. This also has an octagonal hole that's going to match up with your barrel. So then what you do is you just, pretty straightforward, you take this, line it up, slide it right on, push it all the way back. Boom. So now that is together. Now, of course, at this point, this is pretty secure, but this piece could still slide off. So to prevent that, right in here, we've got some holes, pilot holes, and I'll include some screws. You can throw a screw or two in there, so you make sure this is nice and tight against the body, and then you'll throw in a couple of screws. Even one will be strong enough, and that's going to keep this entire section locked together. Okay, so you're over halfway done now. Once you've gotten this far, next you're going to do is you're going to take your front cover. Front cover piece slides right in a rail assembly. So it slides right like this, comes straight back on the gun, assuming I've got everything straight on it, and make sure there's no wiring in the way. That's the only issue you can have, is that the wiring can try and get in the way a little bit when you're sliding this in. But boom, pop it on. It's going to be pretty much flush on this end, and that's in place. Now, just like the main body, technically this is just slid in, and it does have a couple retainers, but they don't hold that incredibly well. So what we've got is a couple of trim bolts that go on the original prop. What I did is I just kind of modified them. You can see that this piece is slid all the way back because those metal pieces are centered in the holes. Now, what those are is neodymium magnets. So we take these little guys and we pop them right into those holes like this. For a display gun, it really doesn't matter. This wouldn't be going anywhere, I don't think, anyways. It does fit pretty well, but with those in place, now it can't go anywhere. Okay, so now your assembly is essentially done. For finishing, there are holes through this section for rivets, and then I do have hardware screws set in here. None of these are really truly functioning, so they'll have to be adhesed in, but it just makes the whole finished piece look a lot better. So anyways, those rivets and set screws, and the set screws up on the inside too, I'll go and include something for that. Then lastly, the only real feature on this is just like the Hero gun, you've got a switcher button back here. Press that, boom, light comes on. If you want it to stay on, the switch is a little finicky. It's one of those press in once to keep it on, press it again and it'll release it. But you really have to press this. Technically, it's in and down a little bit. Give it a good push. Well, try it again. There we go. So in and down, boom, it's on, and then when you're done, it's, a quick tap and it's going to go back off. That's pretty much it for this. As I said before, the main concerns are just to make sure that this main body is all the way against the gun on the barrel secure, because that is the backbone, and put a set screw in. And then if need be, this bottom rail, if this is put on a different gun, or say, this is done later and somehow this is trimmed differently, this rail can be adjusted from inside the gun. Right now, this one's set absolutely fine. It's very sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere, but I did just incorporate a little bit of adjustment there in case, kind of a fudge factor. So yeah, at this point, this just needs to be essentially disassembled, sanded down, cleaned up pretty well, and then primed, painted, and you should be ready to go. So there it is. Blade Mac 11.